the first episode, Smoke introduces this classic cop drama dynamic of a couple of partners that have to work together despite of their differences. But there's much more to that premise as the show unveils later. So for you, what's the more appealing about how Smoke tackles the genre?
I think one of the more appealing things about Smoke is it kind of flips the genre on its head. You know, like you said, you think at first it's this procedural cop and arson investigator gonna investigate a case. And it honestly turns into more of a psychological thriller in which you're analyzing all of these rich and complex characters and their relationships to each other and the relationships to their own lies and secrets. In Michelle's case, I played Detective Michelle Calderone. In her case, she's very much so the person that is dancing in a dance with fire, you know, which is really just this force in her life in which she's drawn to the very things in her life that are going to or capable of destroying her. You know, she very much so lives on the edge. And at a point even says in the show, why am I in love with the very thing that wants to destroy me?
And a lot of time that dance has a lot to do with Dave.
Yes.
And there's a really unusual and weird chemistry between them. So I'd like to know how was it to develop all that with Taron, because from the first scene between them and the last scene of the show, which is also between them, there's a really, really long trip and a lot of weird things happen there.
I love that you use the word weird. Hell yes, man. It is so weird. Their dynamic is so weird. Because one minute, you know, it feels like, oh, they've got this brother and sister banter and they're going to save the world. Then it feels like they're in a power struggle. Then another moment, it feels like, wait, are they going to sleep together? You know, it's like this weird thing that's going on, this tension. And it's not something that we set down and planned. I know I approached it in a way, you know, like a symphony, knowing where we were going. So I knew we couldn't start there. I had to approach him with a level of humility and feed into his ego and soften him up a little bit, knowing that I intended to try to dominate him, you know, but make him feel like you're a professor who needs to teach me all the things about arson. Please teach me, you know. She's manipulating him. He's manipulating her. In terms of how did we find it together, we just, I think, did the work and showed up and behaved.
Yeah, and about that manipulation, at the beginning we learned that Michelle has been demoted for an unfair reason.
Yes.
But that doesn't prevent her to be ambitious. So how does she navigate this world, which is mainly ruled and populated by men?
She uses it as fuel. You know, she knows she messed up. She should have never engaged in this affair with the captain who's married, who leaves his wife for Michelle, only for Michelle to say, I don't want you anymore. You know what I mean? Like, come on, girl. Like, that's just a little messy. And so she's living with that level of regret, but she doesn't sit in that too long because she's so ambitious that she takes this as a challenge and as fuel to show him and show everyone that she's going to get not just one arsonist, she's going to get both, and he won't be able to hold her down then. And I think that's the attitude she's had to approach her career with from her entire life. You know, think about the fact she was in the Marines, now being in the, you know, being a police officer, a detective. She's had to navigate these male-dominated field by going, okay, watch me. You underestimate me? Well, let me prove you wrong.
Yeah, and about that, there's a sequence in which she says that she is the job, that there's no separation between the personal and the professional side. But we also get to know her more about her trauma, what happened in the past. We see why she's so tormented. So what did you enjoy the most about playing a character like this, which is at the same time really troubled, but also really driven?
Yeah, I found elements of myself in Michelle, but I also found elements of people in my life that I have relationships with where work can be such a dominating force because it is how she finds meaning and purpose. It is all she has. She doesn't attach to people. doing that terrifies her. Being vulnerable terrifies her. She attaches to her needs because that's safe, right? It's not threatening. But work is the mission because it is how she can prove to herself and to the world that she matters, right? And it's why, yes, she says, I'm the job and the job is me. You know, I mean, how else will I find meaning in life? And it does go back to the backstory of her trauma with her mother and the situation that happened there. And so knowing all of that helped me make these choices of she's got this mask up. She's not going to show her vulnerability, but of course she's going to show her vulnerability, you know? And constantly playing with that lie that she's telling herself.
Thank you so much, Jurnee. Our time is up, but it was really interesting listening to you, and congrats for the show. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Have a really nice day.